The Nintendo Switch is small but mighty, with a really impressive library of some great games and even greater still, RPGs. And while there are a ton of action and strategy games on there, my favorite is still the tried and true turn-based games. So that's really what I want to highlight here, the top 10 best turn-based RPGs on the Nintendo Switch. So let's go ahead and get started. Like the shirt? Cool, I do too. Well, I guess I really should, since I, along with Switch Wicked, the same people who do Super Derek shirts, designed it together. I am happy to announce that I partnered with them to design these super cool, soft, and high-quality tank tops and t-shirts, and they're only going to be available for pre-order for an extremely limited amount of time. We're only talking 2 weeks here, people, so if you want to get a hold of one and be the coolest kid in the room, as well as support the channel at the same time, hurry on over and click the link below to order them for yourselves. And now, let's get back to the video. Number 10, the Persona series. I am aware that this is a top 10 list, but I always like to give you all more than just 10 games, cause I'm just such a nice guy. Joking aside, the Switch boasts 3 different Persona games that you can play. There is Persona 5 Royal, who many people say is the absolute best and pinnacle of the series, an HD remake of Persona 4 Golden originally released back on the Sony Vita, and then the brand new Persona 3 Portable remake. While these Persona games are all slow burns and you do have to suffer through the high school portions, it definitely makes up for it with this press turn combat system, which I would say is probably one of the best combat systems I've ever had the pleasure to play in a JRPG. It just lends itself so well to strategy, thinking deeply, and really trying to overcome those powerful bosses. There is nothing better than a hard-fought victory. Number 9. The Baten Kaitos Duology. Just like before we had 3 games, now we have 2 great games in one. Originally released for the Nintendo GameCube, they've now been remastered in HD with added quality of life improvements, such as the ability to turn off encounters, skip cutscenes, increase the battle and game speed, and pretty much just whack whatever mobs you come across. These are super hidden gems set in a floating world above the Lost Ocean where objects and essences have become sealed into cards, and then you use those cards to battle. And the battles, they don't drag either. They're kind of timed to ensure that they go by with the quickness. Interestingly, you don't really control your characters either. You play instead as a guardian spirit, and you just kind of guide them along. So even though you might think that you're making all the decisions, you're really not. You're just kind of like a fly on the wall watching all the actions, the twists, and the turns. Number 8, the Trails series. We have even more games! And yeah, this is just the Trails series, so you might think that you can play them all, but you can't. But at least you can play the majority. I mean, you can play just about everything except for the Gagharf trilogy, the Sky trilogy, and the first 2 Cold Steels. You'll be happy to know that you'll be able to play the entirety of the Crossbell Saga, who many people say is the best in the series, as well as that brand new Trails of Reverie, where you get to control Reen, Lloyd, and the Mysterious Sea, and you can also wrap the Cold Steel quadrilogy with 3 and 4. Very similar to the aforementioned Persona, this is another slow burn, and each of these games will take you up to 100 hours. There's just so much content, lore, and world building packed into here. And if you really can't get enough of these games, there's also Nayuta Boundless Trails, which is on the Switch too, but that one isn't turn-based, though it still is a boatload of fun. Number 7. Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince. It should come as no surprise to anybody watching this channel that Dragon Quest is my favorite series of all time. I love the mainline games and I love the spin-offs, and the Dragon Quest Monsters spin-off is easily the longest running one. And here we finally have a proper third entry. And similar to kind of how Caravan Heart took place in the world of Dragon Quest II, this takes place in the world of Dragon Quest IV. Only instead of controlling the hero, you now control Sorrow, and you get to see the story play out from his perspective. It's a really neat twist on one of my favorite entries in the series. So if you're down for some monster capturing fun that'll easily last you a ton of hours, then look no further than this. Number 6. Bravely Default 2. Do y'all remember the first Final Fantasy game where you got to choose your 4 classes, then just kind of dumped you out in front of Canaria and said, go explore? I do, and I love that! This is a throwback to those simpler times where you get your 4 heroes and then you're thrust out into the world. but with a simple and captivating storyline to guide you, a beautiful world map to explore, a set of characters to control and outfit the way that you desire, and a fun-filled combat system with a ton of job classes. The crystals are back with a vengeance, and it's up to you to travel to the 4 regions of the world and restore the crystal's power, fight the evil asterisks holding the job classes, and then just bring peace back to the land. I mean, this is the way that Final Fantasy used to be. And it really should be the way that Final Fantasy still is. Number 5, Shimmagami Tensei 5 and Shimmagami Tensei Nocturne Remastered. Earlier we saw Persona, but now we're featuring its big brother, SMT. Not only is SMT5 a Switch exclusive, but it's an absolute classic, and Nocturne Remastered is here as well. SMT is an incredibly long-running series dating way back on the NES, but only in Japan. It wasn't until the 3rd game in the series, Nocturne, was released that we really got a taste of what all the excitement and hype was about. And while these games can be notoriously difficult, it's really not too bad if you keep up with your demons, recruiting, fusing, and evolving them appropriately. Slow and steady wins the race here as you make your way further out into the post-apocalyptic landscape. Each region is super complex, filled with tons of secrets. You could spend hundreds of hours exploring and still not really find everything. And both of these games are just massive, and you can't go wrong if you're looking for a challenge, as well as some incredible turn-based combat. Number 4, Super Mario RPG and Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. Who else here is psyched for some Mario? I am. Just like SMT5 is a Switch exclusive, so are these 2 games, and they are arguably the best Mario RPGs ever made. I played the original Mario RPG back on the SNES, but then I was in high school, and now it's back again. So I can play it again, and they're both just filled to the brim with colorful worlds, large fun areas, extremely unique towns, and devious puzzle dungeons, not to mention all the hidden secrets and the fun, humorous, uplifting dialogue. You just can't help but be happy whenever you're playing these. Just do keep in mind that Super Mario RPG is much more traditional, something in line with the classic Final Fantasies and Dragon Quests, whereas Thousand-Year Door took the Mario RPG franchise in a completely different direction. I just love whenever classics get remade for the modern era, along with some quality of life features. I mean, who can possibly complain about that? Number 3, Octopath Traveler 1 and 2. I adore both of these games. They are both unabashed throwbacks to simpler times, and they single-handedly ushered in the HD 2D craze, as well as that retro remaster craze, and both of which I can't get enough of. Here, you follow the paths of 8 separate heroes, each complete with their own powers and storylines, and it's set in gorgeous environments with an open world that you can explore at your leisure, recruiting whichever characters you would like, and going in whichever order you would like as well. It's almost like Saga meets classic Final Fantasy. Each town and area is wholly unique, very inviting, and just draws you into the world. The graphics are stunning, and it showcased to the world that old school gaming is not dead. It's here, and it can thrive and flourish in the modern age. Number 2, Sea of Stars and Chained Echoes. Here we have the only 2 indies on the list, and believe me, they definitely deserve their spots. With both harkening back to simpler times, Sea of Stars takes a ton of inspiration from Chrono Trigger, but Chained Echoes takes its inspiration from Final Fantasy VI, and these 2 games really do live up to their hype. I've said a lot about these 2 games over the past couple of years, giving full reviews on both, as well as hints and tips videos, and other little videos too. And if you're looking for a game that will bring you back to your childhood, then these are for you. Because the developers behind these 2 gems, they just took what worked from Square's old classics, dropped any and all jank, and then just delivered you masterpieces on a silver platter. And number 1, Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age S. It is no big secret that Dragon Quest is my favorite series of all time. There's just so many good ones, and the most recent entry is especially good, with amazing characters, a massive world that you can explore on foot, on horseback, or on monster back, along with fantastic voice acting, challenging battles, and a refined weapon tree system. Dragon Quest knows that if it's not broke, you don't fix it, and it's even better now with the S Edition, which includes a whole new game mode where you can play it in 2D. It does cut out the voice acting, as well as various cutscenes, and it pretty much turns it then into an SNES game. but it's really an entirely different experience, and the entire game moves along at a much faster clip. While a dungeon might take like upwards of 30 minutes in 3D mode, you could zip through that thing in like 10 minutes in 2D mode. Personally, I play games to chill and relax, and Dragon Quest just lets the nostalgia wash all over me. So that's it for the top 10 best Nintendo Switch turn-based RPGs, but I still do even more have a few honorable mentions, like the Grandia HD Collection, the Final Fantasy Pixel Remastered Collection, Monster Hunter Rise, and WrestleQuest. Let me know what all of y'all's favorites are. Let's get a discussion going on here, and let's all talk and chat about it, because I'm always in the comments too. And if you like what I do on the channel, please head on over to the Patreon to sign up for early access to my videos, as well as behind the scenes photographs. The link to it is over in the video description. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.